I was going to say it didn't take long for the establishment media to start whinging about Rishi's new plan to stop illegal immigration. But that would be a lie, because it was Robert Peston who asked the question.
Minister, you talked about the importance of swift removal. More than two-thirds of asylum seekers don't come from Albania. How is it compatible with the British traditions of humanity and compassion that you are criminalising, incarcerating, potentially forcing statelessness, homelessness, destitution on asylum seekers, many of whom are, as you accept, vulnerable and traumatised, before you have in place agreements with third countries to which you could move in a swift way, in your words, those asylum seekers?
Sorry. Let me just summarise what Peston's really said there. Rishi Sunak, you're a heartless bastard. You want to criminalise orphan children and then turf them out onto the streets. Were you born without a soul? Didn't take long, did it, Robert? But this is just the usual sneery, wet white, metropolitan Westminster bubble media guff from people who would probably hemorrhage blood from their nose if they went further north than the Watford Gap. What Rishi Sunak is trying to do is make sure that people who come here illegally...
They are certainly going to be challenged in the courts. And will have no right to stay here. So it's very draconian stuff.
Have no right to stay here. God, we got there in the end. OK, and I don't think that's heartless. I don't think that that lacks compassion. And I think that accusations like that are actually quite offensive to the vast majority of British people. We are a kind and welcoming nation. Just ask the Ukrainian refugees, Afghan refugees, Hong Kongers, those fighting with British weapons on the Ukrainian front line, Jewish refugees after World War II, people of Bosnia, perhaps even the parents of our now Prime Minister and Home Secretary and previous Chancellor. I mean, I could go on, OK? I actually think the British public are pretty bloody generous. Somewhere in the region of £7 million a day of taxpayers' money goes to migrant hotels. Goodness knows how many millions it costs to collect these people from the Channel. The British taxpayer pays legal aid to people like Shamima Begum. The British taxpayer is paying a significant price for the war in Ukraine. The British taxpayer has paid hundreds of millions to the French to try to stop people drowning in the Channel. This notion that we're a horrible little nation with evil intent towards Channel migrants is rubbish. Why do they want to come here? Because we treat them better than many other countries. Now, I think insinuating that a Prime Minister is heartless or lacks compassion for trying to draw a line in the sand and saying enough is enough now is insulting to the majority of the British public. And all this pearl clutching about ignoring the ECHR. We ignored the ECHR when it came to prisoners having the vote, and nobody gave a toss about that. Other countries ignore them all the time. Figures show that we actually have a better history of abiding by the ECHR than a lot of places like Germany, France, Norway, and more or less all of these other bastions of virtue on the continent. I think a lot of the media pushback on Sunak's latest plan is based on snobbery. Snobbery from people who were born into privileged positions, are used to people telling them how great and intellectual they are, who never have to worry about where their next paycheck comes from, who never have to worry about accessing their local GP because they've all got private healthcare. And if they were struck to a lie detector test, it would soon reveal that they believe everyone in Bolton, Barrow and Blackburn are subhuman cretins whose only joy in their pathetic, meaningless lives is bingo and gravy. A lot of these journalists criticising plans to stop the boats are completely blind to the impact illegal immigration has on people's lives because they just don't live in the same world as the ordinary, normal, everyday people who it